Araceli Cuna. I was born in Torreón, Coahuila, Mexico. I immigrated almost 11 years ago, more than a decade, to United States, to Santa Fe. That was the first city I arrived.
My name is Vanessa Acosta. I am 24 years old. I came from an undocumented family.
I'm originally from Nigeria, and I came into this country 2 years ago.
My parents immigrated before me and my brother that follows me, because they were working here to save money and to ask for us. I remember living in Mexico. I was 16, 17 years old, almost 17. It was hard to live separate from my parents. We were living really poor over there. It was during Fox election. The economy in Mexico just went down, and I remember that we barely have money to eat. And one day, it was a really, really hard times. And one day my parents just told us, you know what, we decided that we're gonna immigrate to the United States. And first we're gonna go try to work, try to save money, and you're gonna be living with your grandma. And during that time it was hard, but I knew that there was no other option.
So my mother was born in Mexico, and she came over here to the United States when she was 15, 16 years old. She had both my sister and I here in the United States. I was born in California.
My process of getting a visa to come into the country is very important because so many people actually go through that process, and it had to do with getting my visa. So I got married to my husband, and it was a family visa. He has to process the visa himself. He processed the visa himself, and I was able to get mine.
There was a pain of separation. It was a pain of separation because we knew that it was for something better, because there was no possibilities anymore in Mexico for my parents. They were unemployed. They own a lot of money to IRS. It was a catastrophe.
Growing up with my mom, who was undocumented, was really difficult for us. My sister and I were born and raised here. We speak both languages. I remember whenever I first started kindergarten, my sister was already learning English, so my sister would come back to the house and she would teach me how to speak English, and I would see her read books and things, so she would bring home books for me too, so I could learn. So I was already kind of exposed to the language, and my sister was practicing with me in home. So when I went to kindergarten, I was more ready for it, I was more exposed to it, whereas my sister wasn't. So it was really difficult for her. But then once I started kindergarten, I started learning English, and I did really well. Both me and my sister were very dedicated because we knew that it was very important for us to get an education, especially to help my mom.
It has been, well, a wonderful experience, both bittersweet but rewarding in a sense. Coming from Nigeria and coming from a large extended family, both from my mother's side and from my father's side, leaving them behind has been kind of a difficult experience because I come from a culture where family and where we have a very, very good extended family system, and it's well valued.
So finally, when I arrive here as undocumented as the rest of my family. I'm undocumented, unafraid, and as well my parents and my brothers. When we arrived here, I didn't know English, of course. I didn't understand the education system. It was overwhelming. The one who enrolled me to high school as my last year, senior year, it was almost junior, senior year, it was my middle brother. We were in some trailers. Nobody speak with us. It was a really, there was a lot of tension in Capital High School during that time. People was divided. You were divided between Mexicans, between Chicanos. You cannot walk in certain areas in Capital High. You were just technically hiding every single day. I was speaking Spanish only because that was my people. They were people that protect me as well in high school, and they were where I lived with. They were my neighbors and everything, and we were like our own network as undocumented.
So once we started school, we would get really discriminated against because we looked different and we sounded different. Of course, we spoke Spanish at home and we spoke English at school, so we still had some sort of accent, or they can tell that we were dual language. So I remember whenever I started 5th grade, I was advancing really fast because I started reading from a really young age. And I was put in a 4th and 5th grade class because they heard me and my sister speak Spanish. So they automatically assumed that I was having difficulties in school when my grades showed that I wasn't, that I was really advancing in my classes. So during 4th and 5th grade, I was put in an ESL class basically. And for me, I mean, that was really difficult because I wanted to prove to the education system that I was capable, even though I was of dual language. And you know, throughout that time, I think that really is what empowered me to continue working so hard in my education. Because I didn't want to be discriminated against. Me and my sister stopped speaking Spanish in school because of the fact that you know, people would make fun of us.
Then I can also say that my other challenge was coming from a place where I studied and having a completely different education system was also a challenge. I studied medicine in my country, and then I had to come in and start all over again. It was kind of a challenge of kind of starting all over again, reading all the things that you've studied before, and then trying to get back into the system. And I'll say yes, it's very good because I realized that generally where I came from, that the system is very, very different. We actually practice the British system of practicing medicine, but here the diff is completely different. So I can say that for me, trying to adapt to the changes of getting back into the things that I've done before, it was kind of like starting all over again. But I can say that it's been a very, very good journey, and I'm still in process of going through. I understand that it's a gradual process, and I think that's the experience of every immigrant in this country. So personally, I don't think it's not something that cannot be done. Yes, it's something that can be done, but it's a gradual process of getting there. So gradually, I'm taking it a day at a time, trying to understand the system, trying to adapt to it, and then modify myself to make sure that I don't miss out of every opportunity that I have in this country. And looking forward to the future that I have, I know that this place provides opportunities for people that are willing to give everything that they have to it. So I believe that the journey this is just the beginning.
I was in shock. I thought I won't be able to go to college. And I remember my advisor, when I went to talk with her, I asked her, do you think as undocumented I could go and go to college? And she told me, no, there's no way that you're gonna be able to go to college. You should just try to learn English and try to find a job after high school. And that broke my heart completely. And I was so sad, because I thought, oh, I really wanna go to school. I wanna make it at school, because I know there's no other way I'm gonna be able to get out of here if I don't study.
So I think these are just things that we kind of have to be sensitive towards, and it does affect even someone like me who is U.S. born, but is also in another part of the, has two worlds, I guess, to say, because when I go home, it's very much Spanish speaking, very different than what it is outside in the American society.